Now, since the dawn of time on YouTube, what have people always done? They've always documented modifying their cars. But today, we're gonna be doing the opposite. We're gonna be demodifying my 2014 Subaru WRX. Now, it's not just any typical WRX that you might find, because this WRX has undergone a lot of work, and I mean a lot. Open sesame, keep going. Move, keep it moving, there we go. This WRX makes about 730 horsepower, has an STI 6-speed put in it, but as a car enthusiast, my time with this car has come to an end. And it's time for me to sell it. And because the way the car market is, it's a lot easier to sell a mainly stock car than it is a 730 wheel horsepower car. I bought a completely stock USDM EJ255 long block assembly. It comes with everything, man. That we're gonna be dropping into this car. We're gonna be pulling out the built motor, out the rotated kit, the entire fuel system, and this thing is going to go back to being a measly stock little WRX, but with one small exception. It's gonna be keeping the stock STI 6-speed that we put in it because I am too lazy to take it out, and this dude's just so much work. It's so much work to take out an entire drivetrain and put back in the 5-speed. So whoever gets this car next, gets it with a lovely STI 6-speed. What we need to do is take all of this out, and I mean all of it. The engine, the clutch, the turbo, the air oil separate, all of it. We're gonna make this thing like it was the day I got it, the stock Subaru. But we have a lot of work ahead of us, so I say we start off easy with the suspension. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We're gonna start today off by pulling off all of the the airlift performance stuff off of the car, get the bag riders shocks off, or I guess bags, and put the stock struts and springs back on. We've got all of the airlift suspension and bag rider stuff off of the hatch right now. Rear LCAs are also off. I've got a stock set coming that we're gonna be putting back on. We have stock struts and springs put back in this thing. Like I said, the Brembos, all that stuff's gonna stay. So now in the spirit of kind of sticking at the back of the car, I think I'm gonna pull the Tomei off because I do have a stock Subaru SPT catback right over there that we're gonna throw on real quick. So I'm not gonna throw it on quite yet, but we're gonna get the Tomei off of here, which isn't too bad. This thing's pretty light. Got a couple of exhaust hangers, one flange up there, some spring guys, and a couple clamps, and this whole catback will come off relatively nicely. So get our Tomei off, and then I think we'll jump up into the engine bay next and start yeeting out engine bay parts. Tomei is off, and I got the stock cap back on, but I'm gonna have to take it back off the gentleman that I got it from. Forgot that it was kind of broken. The weld on this exhaust runner just kind of rattles on down there, so I can just run it over to my shop, clean up this area, and just re-weld it. It's not a big deal. I just wish I would have known before I threw it on. Oh, no, 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 no. So next up is our engine bay here. We're gonna go through here and start pulling off a lot of this stuff to get this thing cleaned up. I do need to get the oil out of the engine as well as the coolant out of the radiator. So let's slide a bucket and a mop and get some WAP, that wet ass Subaru. With it, it's a silent P though. Alright, remember, it's all in the hips. Oh, god damn it. Oh. There it goes. Sweet! Let all that drain out for a little while. So now that we've got our fluids drained out, we're gonna start dismantling this engine bay. Normally, if I'm like busting ass, I could probably get this done in about an hour and a half, getting everything out, but I'm not really in a huge rush, so we're gonna go through here as a breeze, start tearing this engine bay apart. So make it look pretty empty, naked as some would say. We are ready to take out the built heart of this beast, so that way I can sell it. Dude, it's like a garage sale of car parts. We got a full turbo kit, we got an exhaust, some shrouds, an intake manifold, a stock downpipe, fuel rails, fuel system, batteries, all sorts of stuff. Now, once we get the engine out, there's a couple things we got to take off of it, like the oil pan and whatnot. All that's going to be coming off. The motor mounts and whatnot. In here, we need to come back in here and take out the AEM gauges that are in there, the aftermarket steering wheel, because I do have stock ones on the way. There's a wasp in here, so if I freak out, I apologize. I don't like wasps. So what I need to do is go under the car, jack up the undo the transmission mount bolts, jack up the transmission a little bit, undo the engine mount bolts, undo all the bell housing bolts, hook up a hoist to this engine, get it yeeted out of this engine bay. Once the engine's out, then we can move on to some of the interior stuff, and then we're just gonna be playing the waiting game until all of the OEM components that I ordered show up. So, let's strip an engine out of this thing, get it back to stock. Now that all of like the engine bay stuff, all that stuff's kind of torn down, I know I'm super dirty. We need to jump inside of the car. I need to pull out the gauge cluster like I mentioned earlier. I need to pull out the radium fuel hanger with the two Watt 450s, the Dash 8 feed line that runs underneath the car, because I'm doing it in like packages, if that makes sense. Like I'm doing the whole fuel system as a package, fuel rails, fuel pressure regulator, fuel lines, fuel pumps, hanger, all that stuff. It's like a big power, I guess, fuel system package, if that makes sense. So, like I said, we still have a lot to do in this video, so start yeeting out all the stuff inside of the car, and then I think once all that stuff is out, we're at the point there where we're back to stock and we start putting stock parts back on. Oh, and I gotta take the steering wheel off because I have an OEM steering wheel coming back too, so a lot of stuff. We have a stock steering wheel back in here and our Alcantara one out. So now we are good to go to start putting this thing back to stock, or at least as close to stock as we can get it. So I think we're gonna start with the fuel pump assembly just so the garage stops smelling like fuel. We pulled out that radium dual hanger. We're gonna be putting in just a stock unit to get this thing going again. So let's get this guy in. I am missing one feed line. Hopefully I kept it in my spare parts bin down there. If not, I'm gonna have to order one or just make an AN line. Either way it'll work. So let's go ahead, get that basket in there. So it has been about a week since we've touched this WRX and we got our replacement engine in. Now I'm a little bit disappointed. It did come damaged. The intake manifold is completely broken right here. There's a crack in it there. They broke the coolant expansion tank, so I'm on the hunt to try to find some of those locally so that way I can get this car out of here. It's just, you know, it sucks. You pay like $5K for a USDM EJ255, like a drop-in engine like that, and then it comes damaged. Not mad, I'm just disappointed. A couple things on this engine that are not staying: the power steering pump, the AC, Both of those are coming off because I've got new ones in there. So we can go ahead and start pulling a lot of this stuff off. I'll probably just pull the alternator now also, as well as the intake manifold, and get rid of just some of the stuff that we're not going to be using. Once I might as well do it while it's strapped to a pallet and it's already standing upright. And then once we get this thing stripped down a little bit, we're going to yeet this thing up. We're going to get our flywheel and our clutch put on this guy, get it dropped into the WRX, and then hopefully we can find these two components locally. That just sucks that they came damaged. So I took a little bit of time. I got the engine cleaned up a little bit. I didn't have to, but for the sake of the next owner, I wanted to just clean it up a little bit. I got the flywheel and the pressure plate on here, got them Loctited on, torqued down. This engine is now ready to go back into the engine. Well, it's not ready to go back in. It's ready to go into the engine bay of the WRX. I did go ahead and order a new intake manifold for this and a new coolant expansion tank because I would just want to get this thing done with. I'm just ready to move on. I love you, but I'm honestly just ready to move on. Did notice a couple of leaks on here and a couple of damaged coil packs, so I am going to swap those out. I'll probably put some fresh spark plugs in this engine for the next owner or whoever takes it, so that way they at least have a decent running engine, if you know what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and get our hoist back there hooked up to our engine. I'm going to get the 6-speed jacked up, and then we're going to make these two become friends. $80,000 miles on the engine. It matches the chassis. Someone, and I'll show you guys this here in a little bit, someone in shipping destroyed the oil pan and smashed the oil pan in the pickup, and the header is just extremely rusted out. So we went out, we got a new exhaust manifold to put on this thing. We did end up snagging a new intake manifold last night, thankfully, because I was a little bit stressed about that. A new oil pan, new evap solenoid, some fuel hose, some new accessory belts. I want to get this WRX done today, which with these new parts, we'll definitely be able to do. So from here, I want to keep going in the engine bay, get the intake manifold on, get the fuel rails on, turbo inlet, all that stuff to get up here fully dressed back up, get the intake in, and then after that, we're gonna go underneath of the car, swap out the oil pan, swap out the exhaust manifold. I wish I would have noticed the oil pan before I put the engine in. My fault, but you know, nothing I can do about it now. So once we go under the car, I'll show you the rusted out tetanus infected header, but like you guys can just see it's like starting to crumble and rust off down there. And like I said, I want the next owner of this car to at least have a decent experience with it. So I'd rather them not have to go get a tetanus shot, and I would rather them not have a crushed oil pan. So when it comes to parting out cars, I don't like to be a straight up douche about it and just give away or trade in or get rid of a car that's been just tossed together. I would rather it be put somewhat back to OEM, so that way the next owner has very minimal issues with it. So let's go ahead, let's start getting the TGVs, the fuel rails, the fuel housings, all the fun stuff put back in here, the engine harness, and let's hopefully get this thing started in a couple of hours. thing is fully back to stock. I apologize for all the time lapse, you guys, but I got to the point with this thing where I'm like, I just want it to be done, and it has been a royal nightmare. I didn't feel comfortable even starting the car on that. There is a small crack in that oil pickup tube up there, and it would have just ended up killing this engine that I just got. Put a nice OEM STI oil pan on here, a Killer B oil pickup. Replaced some of the seals in this engine also, such as like TGV to intake manifold, TGV to block. A lot of hoses, a lot of connections. We got secondary air pump back in here, oil back in here. It's ready to be burped. So at this point, I'm gonna go swap camera batteries. We're gonna attempt to start this thing and hopefully get this thing gone. So we've effectively taken the 730 horsepower swapped WRX back down to a stock WRX. It's like the car had a glow up and then a glow down. So let's see if this thing will start up. High hopes here that it will. Key still works, so that's a good sign.
Father Zuducci, it shall run like a champ.
Okay, so yeah, it's top line to top line, evap bottom line to bottom line. Okay, we figured out why the WRX isn't starting. In 2013 and 2014, Subaru gave the WRX its own engine harness. I don't know what year this engine came out of, but I can tell you by looking at these bulkhead connectors, they are pinned differently. So I'm gonna go through, D-pin, I've already ordered a new engine harness, so if this doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna D-pin that connector, repin it to this one. It's also damaged, so this one will actually have its little clippy-do. But repin it in the configuration that this one is pinned in. In theory, it should work. If it doesn't, like I said, I have that new engine harness coming. If it works, that means the WRX will work, and I get 300 bucks back from not having to buy this new engine harness. So, D-pin. D-pin this stuff. So if you haven't guessed or figured it out by now, I gave up on trying to repin that engine harness and I just bought a brand new one. I've already got it installed on the manifold. It's about a week in the future from the last time that we filmed, from trying to redo the other one. So that was our problem. I just bought a brand new one. They're like 240 bucks online. It's well worth it. If you ever have like harness issues, electrical issues, you need to replace an engine harness, buy them online. They're significantly cheaper than buying them from a dealer. Like I said, like 240 bucks for this thing. So go ahead, get our freshly reinstalled manifold on with our brand new engine harness. Hopefully this WRX will run now. Engine harness is in, coolant's put back in it, we got oil in it, all gaskets are in. Let's See if it starts. I think it'll start this time with this proper engine harness. I think it'll work. Why you do this? What are you doing right now? What are we doing? What's happening? This sucks. So I eventually got the like, as you guys can see, the RX-7's back in here. The WRX is gone. I eventually got it to start, but it would not run well at all. Never had a car do this before. Let me pull up the codes for you guys because it threw random codes all the time. First set of codes, P0352 ignition coil B primary secondary circuit. That would come up on coil A, B, C, and D. It would throw those for circuits. Random like misfires. At one point it threw like every code I could even think of. And then I unplugged the engine harness, plugged it back in. They all went away. The car ran fine for a couple of minutes. And then out of nowhere started doing it again. We tried swapping, it had brand new spark plugs in it, brand new coil packs, swapped coil packs around, didn't change anything, cleaned sensors, put everything back together. I want to say it's like a grounding issue or so, I don't know. I got to my wit's end yesterday. I just called a tow truck. I was actually the most irritated I've been in a long time between the STI problem, which I'm pretty over now because we are fairly certain we found the issue on that, but that's a video for a different day. But it's like no matter what I would do, car would throw a different check engine light, and it had to have been something electrical. We put a brand new engine harness in there. I was stumped. I got tired of it, called a tow truck. Tow truck took it down to Subaru and it's gone. But that leads me to my next point over here. Hatchback may be gone, but we did pick up our 2023 WRX. I'll be doing videos. Actually, the next video will be like a first impression, thoughts going through the car. I'll save that. It's interesting. Let me just tell you that much. But I'm gonna be working on the RX-7 in the next couple of days to get things going on this. I have the entire new fuel system in here and whatnot. I just couldn't do anything to the RX-7 because the WRX was sitting in here. This video has legit taken about 3 weeks of the WRX just sitting right here, waiting on parts to come in, X, Y, and Z things. So I genuinely tried to do right by that hatchback by putting it back to 100% stock, trying to make sure that everything was solid for whoever takes it next. At the end of the day, it's a car I'm getting rid of, and I don't want to continue to pour thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars into it to try to continue to fix little problems that come up when I'm getting rid of. Financially and logically, it just doesn't make sense. So I got fed up with it. I'm pretty sure the dealership is sending it to wholesale, which kind of makes me sad. I'll probably try to Google the VIN later and see if I can find it in like a couple weeks to see where it pops up at. But I'm excited for the 23. I will miss the hatch, but at the same time I won't miss the hatch because that car has royally made me angry the past couple of days. So like I said, this video is taking a couple weeks, you guys, so at this point that's all I got for you guys on this one. That is the end of the saga of the WRX hat. Now we go on to bigger and better things. The engine for the STI should hopefully come up in the next couple of days. Just to give you guys a quick recap, we're pretty sure we found the problem, which was the value of the torque stud torquing, I guess, head stud torquing value, the yield. It seems like it's too much. Seems like 140 foot-pounds is too much for that engine. We were literally pulling the engine apart because the head studs, the case bolts, everything's going all sorts of different ways. So we're gonna drop torque back down to 120 and we shouldn't have any problems right there. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you like the video, you know what to do. If you're excited for the VB, the 2023 stuff, go ahead and hit that like button, turn your black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, we'll catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.